Just like a lot of people watching, a lot of my friends started to get into RVing, and then they had an issue. They're like, Ian, what do I do? Well, open up your RV Toolbox. Well, I don't have one. There's problem number one. This is something you're gonna wanna have, folks. If you're getting into RVing, you're new to it, or if you've been doing it for a while, you know that there's going to be some maintenance, there's going to be some work, things that need to be done, because you have a home that's traveling down a road. Like, things are going to happen. Today I'm gonna go through, I'm gonna show you what I have in my RV toolbox. Not that this is what everybody needs to have, but I think it's a good starting point. If you want something that is super comprehensive, we actually have a blog article with a printable PDF. So you can literally click on that, download the PDF, print it out, and have check boxes for everything that you need to bring with you. I will put that link in the description. But let's get into it. I'm gonna go a little out of order just because I wanna open up the top first, because I have a bunch of bits in here and it's noisy and I don't wanna keep opening and closing it. So right up top, a couple of quick and important things. The first one is gonna be what's making all the noise. And it's a couple things. One is sockets. The other is random bits, okay? Both of those are gonna be super important. I'll start with the sockets. I have two different socket sets. One's a little bit smaller, goes up to a 1/2 inch. If I'm working on anything super small, you need to remove some bolts from the toilet, something like that. I don't want my giant wrench. I just want a small socket set, makes it super easy. One of them that you are going to need though, so you probably will need a larger socket set, is a 1 1/16 inch. Why? Because that is the standard size of an anode rod in your water heater. If you're not familiar with what an anode rod is or what it does, I will put a video on how to change it and exactly what it does in the description below. But again, just know that that is something that should be changed probably annually, sometimes more often depending on how aggressive the water is. But a 1 1/16 inch socket is what you will need. Also, this fancy guy, mine's nice and dirty, yay. This is a wire brush, and the main thing I use this for is to get off any rust, corrosion, grease, dirt, grime, and that's really important for things like your battery terminals, right? Your battery posts. If you start to get too much rust and corrosion and stuff on there, you're gonna have electrical issues that you don't need, and this right here is a super simple and easy fix, and something I always recommend checking first when you are trying to troubleshoot some electrical issues, especially if you're having intermittent or no 12 volt. Then we open it up and kind of get in the meat and potatoes, and the number one, I don't think this will be to anyone's surprise, the number one thing I recommend, if nothing else, is a power drill. I mean, you have to have it, right? This is fantastic for everything from reattaching hinges to using fasteners to everything else you need a drill for, hanging pictures, right? But along with that, something else that you have to have if you plan on working on an RV is this guy right here, which I'll have my cameraman do some camera magic and do like some nice B-roll shots so you can see what this is. But this is a square number 2 bit, and I would say 98, it's a random statistic, I'm gonna say 98% of your fasteners in the RV is a number 2 square bit. But if you don't have it, if you're trying to use a Phillips, you're gonna be sorely depressed, really depressed, you're gonna be sad. So get a number 2 square bit. Along with that, it's something you can do really easily. I purchased this one separate, but you can just do something like this and just buy a whole set of them, a whole slew. So then, I don't know, it just makes life easier and you got them all and you can use the rest of them at home. Drill bits as well, that's another one you're gonna want, along with all of your other attachments. You gotta drill holes, you're gonna have different sizes. If you have to have 2 things, it's this and this, okay? But you definitely need some stuff to do electrical work. There's no doubt about it. This, again, is a house. It goes down the road. You're gonna have some connections and stuff that may have issues, may come disconnected. You might, you have a 12 volt system, you have a 120 volt system, you have all sorts of things going on. You have to be able to test it. And to do that, you need a multimeter. You can pick them up for like 20 bucks, dirt cheap, and it will allow you to troubleshoot pretty much everything. You need to see if your, battery is working, boom. You need to see if your converter is working, boom. You need to check a thermocouple, boom. This right here is how you're gonna troubleshoot pretty much all of your electric. Now, let's say you troubleshoot it, but now you're like, oh, well, I have a bad wire. I need to strip it and put on another connection. Well, that's where this guy comes in. You have electrical multi-tool, and you cut, you strip, you crimp, it opens, it closes. What can't it do? Electrical tape. I would also say have a slew of fittings. I don't have them in here. My wife took a few things out of here. We've been remodeling the house. Electrical fittings is one of them. So, but you will need just a random assortment. They kind of come in a pack like this, right? You just have random fittings in there. That way you'll have those in case you need to reattach that. Kind of along the same line as these guys, I guess. A set of Allen wrenches, Allen keys, whatever you want to call them. These are standard. You can do metric. I don't normally run into a ton of metric, but you know, as we tend to source different, use different suppliers in the RV industry, we may get into more metric, who knows, but you'll definitely want at least one set, possibly two, of Allen keys. Again, those can be used for things like pumps a lot of times, right? Or slide outs, things like that. Sometimes we'll use Allen keys. Not necessary at all, but something I like. Work gloves. They're just great. Ooh, here's a good one. Caulk gun. You can see this one has gone through. This one's seen some usage. That's a good thing, as it should. You need to reseal, folks. If you don't know this, there's definitely some key maintenance you need to do on an RV, and one of them is sealing. Water is our enemy. So for silicone around windows, for self-leveler on the roof, this guy right here is how you're going to apply all that. That is a must-have. Along with that, putty knife. Yeah, that one's also seen some use. It's important that you use plastic, not metal. I'm gonna tell you, I've done this several times. Metal is so much easier. It makes everything come off easier. The problem with metal is you're gonna scratch your fiberglass, you're gonna put holes in your roof. If you are not super careful, it is extremely costly. The odds of you doing that with plastic are pretty slim. It's gonna be a lot more elbow grease, but I'm telling you, you will thank me. Use plastic to get all your silicone and adhesive off. Some denatured alcohol, and this guy will do wonders. And then you can reapply all of your sealants. This is overkill. Honestly, it's too big, but a saw. I have a hacksaw. I had to use it to cut off some rusted bolts. Good thing to have. I recommend getting a smaller one. This is too big for what my size of my toolbox is here. Vice grips. I love them. I have two different sets. You'll see right here, I have needle nose. I have standard needle nose as well. Again, whether it's for electrical or just getting in small spaces, needle nose are fantastic. I have the vice grips if, I don't know, I just don't have hand strength, I guess, or just need to really cramp on. Vice grips are fantastic. My number one most used plier, I guess, if you will, is this guy, the O channel lock. Man, I use this thing a ton, and I know it's huge, but it works extremely well. If you have to do a little bit of pipe turning, a little wrench turning, right? Got to do some plumbing. Have a crescent wrench in here as well. You got the 1-2 combo, works like a charm. Sometimes you just need to take some anger and frustration out. No, it's good to have a hammer. Obviously I have a rubber mallet here, 2 compounds, a little bit softer, a little bit harder. Along with that, I have a standard hammer, but you do want a couple different hammers. Again, mallet's fantastic if you just need to hit some stuff and not actually cause damage. But your standard hammer, obviously, again, obvious uses. If we don't know what a hammer does, I don't know that I can help. Okay, levels. Ian, why do you have 3 levels? Great question. These ones were cheap, and I got in, I don't even know where, probably from IKEA or something, and they ended up in here as a catch-all. This is the one I use 90% of the time. It's magnetic, works great. You're gonna wanna level just to make sure your RV is level. As you're backing up, you wanna make sure things are level, because believe it or not, that makes a big difference on operation of things like slide outs and refrigerator. So you use leveling blocks. That right there is the tool to determine if you're level or not. Pretty obvious. Screwdrivers. Might not be a bad idea to have a multi-screwdriver as well, so you can change out all of your bits. Just in case, again, you can't fit the drill in there. Screwdriver sometimes will do the trick. Safety glasses. No, obviously I don't need them. I have regular glasses, but sometimes I need assistance. And the last thing I want to have happen is, if you're working on HVAC or you're working underneath the RV or under a sink, I don't want stuff falling into my wife's eyes if she has to help. You only get one set, take care of them. Safety first, safety glasses. Box cutters. Folks, you're gonna have to cut things. That's just how it goes. A big thing that you might use box cutters for, in all honesty, is if you have an enclosed underbelly and you need to access that to manually override your slide out. If you have a rack and pinion system, some of them, that's what you have to do. This right here will cut the majority of underbellies. And honestly, it's just always handy to have a knife around. Tire pressure gauge. Pro tip, make sure it goes up high enough. This one goes up to 100, that's not bad. A lot of them only go up to like 50 PSI, and honestly, that's just not gonna do a whole heck of a lot, depending on your tires. You wanna make sure that you're actually going to be able to have it do its job. Tape measure. I don't know how you're gonna do many projects. If you're making anything, tape measures are huge. Even if you're just, man, I just bought this RV. I need to know what bin will fit here. Oh, look, I have a tool. Now I can measure that space. Now I know what'll fit. Again, tape measure is just one of those that you should absolutely carry. This one is silicone grease. Again, this is a nice to have, not a must, but I use this on a lot of plumbing fixtures, as well as when we talked about your flush ball seal in your toilet. This right here sometimes can be a fix. Add a little bit of this, it'll help that seal, especially if it starts going down. We have a great video on replacing that as well. If you're interested, I will leave that in the description because that is one of the maintenance things you should know how to do. And last but not least, before I lose my toolbox from all the weight in it, is this guy, lug wrench. You'll see this one, telescopes, that way I don't have to carry around a cheater bar or breaker bar. You know, depending on what it is, honestly, folks, if it's a fifth wheel or a motorhome, I'm probably not changing the tire anyway. Travel trailer, yeah, that's fine. I have no problem doing that as long as you have a bottle jack that's rated to actually lift it up so you can do the work. But honestly, if I've had a tire blow out in a Class C on me before, I just called and had someone else replace it that had the capability because it's just not worth the risk to me to do it. But if you have a travel trailer, this guy comes in handy. And that's pretty much it, folks. This is what I have. I say that's it. You'll see it's a decent amount of stuff, but again, it's like you're working on a home. It is a home that is on the road. And if you want that PDF, which I highly recommend, I'll leave that in the description. Just click on it so you can print it off. Go to the, I don't know, I don't want to say different stores, but there's lots of different big box stores you can go to or shop online where you can find a lot of this stuff so you can have it to work on. So that way, if you do encounter a problem in RV, you will be all set. Be able to check that off box by box. Folks, I hope this was helpful. I'm Ian Baker, and until next time, we'll see you.